My name is Dawn Gibson. Welcome to the Confident Parenting Connection, where I help you see and own your value so you can raise confident kids and live the life that you desire. In today's Conversations That Connect interview is with Joy Fischera, and we are going to be talking to you about the chakras and how imbalances show up in your daily life and how parents can identify these imbalances in their children so you can bring more balance to your own child's life. And I'm really excited to have Joy here. And Joy Fischera is a mom of 3, just like me, and a yoga instructor, a Reiki healer, and chakra expert. She loves to share how the chakras affect your daily life in a practical and simple manner that helps everyone see the impact of their own energy. Joy specializes in helping parents understand their child's energy system, as well as mentoring yoga teachers that wish to incorporate the chakras into their classes. Joy, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me about this really important topic.
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. So before we dive into our conversation, I was wondering, for those people who might not have heard of a chakra or might think, oh, chakras, what does that mean anyway? If you could just talk a little bit about the chakra system and then a brief description of each individual chakra and why they're so important and why it's important to have them in balance.
Sure. So chakras there are lots of different chakras in the body, but we talk about 7 main chakras. And what they are is they are centers of energy in the body that are always taking in, they're always processing, and then they're always sending out. So as they begin developing from conception on, and as a child, you're always taking in from around you, your family, your school, your environment, your community. Mm-hmm. You're taking in energy. That energy, if it's coming in a balanced fashion, mm-hmm. Healthy, without other imbalances, mm-hmm. It's going to come in, you're going to process it, and the energy that comes out is going to be balanced as well. When you are taking in energy that's not balanced, you're going to process it inside. So the input is coming in out of balance, kind of, out of sync.
So would you say, like, what people, I personally don't believe in negative and positive, but a lot of people kind of look at life that way. There are negative things and positive things. Would you say that the imbalance would be what people might consider a negative interaction or experience or something happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then you process it, and then the way that it comes out of you, and it comes out of you in your behavior, your feelings, your health, the way that it comes out, if what's coming in is imbalanced, what's coming out is imbalanced, if that makes sense. And the processing that happens inside determines how it comes out of you. And so we can talk about the energy that comes out in 2 different fashions. It could be showing up in an excessive manner, okay, where you are trying to pull that energy towards you. You're trying to gather it.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. So someone who, if we're talking in the heart chakra, someone who maybe doesn't receive a lot of love in their childhood growing up, they are going to become and show tendencies to be like a people pleaser. Okay. They are going to be trying to pull in that love from outside.
Got it. Instead of from within.
Exactly. And so the energy can come out of you in an excessive manner, or it could come out in a deficient manner. And what that looks like is when you are pushing that energy away. And so in that same example, the person that maybe didn't receive the love while they were growing up, in the deficient characteristics, they will be someone that is very withdrawn, closed off, maybe very critical. So you can kind of see the 2 ends of that spectrum. You're either trying to pull the energy in or you're pushing it away. So when the input is out of balance, the output is going to be out of balance. And we see that show up in children's behavior, their health, relationships, all of that. So that's the general idea of the energy. And you can think of chakras as like your emotions. You can't see them. They won't show up on any imaging or any medical test,
Right.
but they can affect you like your emotions. So like your emotion can make your heart beat faster, or can make you sweat, or your stomach have butterflies. So can the chakras when they are out of balance. They can produce actual physical manifestations. So that's a general picture of what
I know that's hard to put such a big concept into a little nutshell, but I think that that's good for people who may not really know much about the chakra system. And so do you mind going through I know there's really more than 7 chakras, but I think, most people.
I work with the 7 main chakras.
Okay.
But so root chakra is at the base of your spine, down through your legs and your feet, all of your bones and teeth. And it is all of your survival needs. So it's your tribe, your family, your friends. It's your overall health, your financial security, your home. And so it is all of that survival stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Your second chakra is in your hips, your pelvis, and that is, we call it the water chakra. It is emotions, sexuality, your ability to go with the flow as well as have resistance. It's your boundaries. So that's the second chakra.
And I know a lot of women struggle with that one, if you think about how rigid we can be in our hip area, and we're not real fluid a lot of times.
Absolutely. Third chakra is bullseye around the navel. It's all of your digestive organs as well as kidneys. And it's your fire chakra. And that is your energy. So actual, like if you have a lot of energy during the day, or if you get tired, it's that energy. And it's your power, your discipline, your self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the third chakra. Heart chakra is upper chest, upper back, shoulders, arms, all the way out through your hands. And that is your center of love and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we find self-acceptance. It's also where we can find conditions, when we put conditions on ourselves or conditions on others to prove love.
Mm-hmm.
Throat chakra is your voice. It's your truth. So it's all throat, ears, neck, jaw.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice, your truth, forgiveness issues are there. And when it gets out of balance, it can show up with chronic sore throat or strep throat, grinding the teeth, TMJ, those type of things. Mm-hmm. We move up into third eye, and that is your center of intuition and imagination. So sometimes kids that have nightmares or night terrors have an imbalance in the third eye chakra. Okay. People that are very into fantasy and almost live in a fantasy world have excessive third eye chakras. And then we'll move into the crown. Crown is connection to spirit or spirituality. It's also thought, learning, your ability to be open to guidance and teachers. Mm-hmm. That's just a super quick.
Yeah, I know. Again,
through them. But each one you can kind of go into and, see how it would show up, how the imbalances show up, and work from there on the chakra. Chakra.
I would love to know what brought you into this area in the first place, because I know this is your area of work, and this is what you help parents with. And so I'm curious about what led you to this place in the first place. Do you mind?
Sure. Yeah. Kind of a funny story. After I had my first son, I went back 3 days after, for your 3-day checkup. And I said, I have a weird runner's cramp. And so they felt around and they said, we don't think we're supposed to feel your liver down there. Turns out I had a really big tumor on my liver.
And, oh my goodness.
Yeah, ended up, it was benign. And there was no real reason for it. It was like, I ended up being like one of 37 people in the world that had this type of tumor when they were pregnant. So it just, and I was already trained as a yoga teacher, and I'd already heard about the chakras, but it's made me really go, what is this? Where did this come from? And my background is as a perfectionist and people pleaser, and never got angry, kept all of that inside. And I know that all of that transformed or manifested into this tumor, which really, it all made sense to me. But what has kept me going, that's what initially really started me on the path. But what's kept me going is it's very logical. I'm a very practical, logical person. And when this input occurs in someone's life, these imbalances happen, and it manifests this way in your life, either in a health condition or a behavior. And it's very logical to me. We think energy is so,
airy fairy.
Yeah, and we don't get it.
Energy is in everything, and that's the thing. I mean, we are all energy. Everything has energy. So
yes, and so it's very logical. And the more that I share it with people, the more people go, "Oh my gosh, that's me. That's my child. That's my brother." And so I just keep having more and more reinforcement of yes.
Yes. So what kind of things do you see in children? What kind of issues do you see? And how do you describe those issues in terms of the energy system? And how do you help, how can we as parents help our children stay in balance? For me and what I do, it's about attunement and emotional connection and sensing how they're feeling and things of that nature. And quite frankly, even though I am aware of my chakra system and I do talk to my children about this stuff and I work with women around this as well, honestly, it hadn't occurred to me that some of the stuff going on, because I'm always looking for the emotional component. I mean, that's my training as a psychotherapist. And also with it's body-centered psychotherapy. So it's very much the emotions you're storing in the body that cause physical issues, but relating that to the chakra system, I find that really fascinating. And I would love to know more about that.
Sure. So trying to think, what I see in kiddos, or what I hear from parents, is if we look at the root chakra, okay, my child has a lot of anxiety.
Right.
So when I talk about the root chakra, I talk about rhythm and ritual and routine. All of those things that help.
Knowing what to expect.
Yeah, knowing what to feel safe and secure. What can help them feel safe and secure? We talk about getting into the body, because the root chakra is very tangible. It's about your body. And so getting your child into their body.
How do you do that? I'm a big fan of that, and I can easily do that with my daughter. My oldest daughter, have 3. But I find it really challenging. I've found it challenging to find a way to help my son do the same. And I feel like I know that over a certain period of time, it takes some time to land in their bodies after birth and even the first few years. But how do you help children get into their bodies? What do you suggest for that?
So from my own family, I have a son who has some anxiety about going to school. And one thing that helps him is we talk about squeezing the muscles, and just so when they're in, they are in their head, not in their body.
Right.
Taught him to do, to squeeze his muscles when he feels that. He also rides his bike to school, and that gets him in his body before the day even starts.
So even physically getting them, even if it's jumping up and down, because it's funny where I go is, if my child is upset, I'll say, okay, where do you feel that in your body? Okay, just notice it, stay with it, breathe through it. What color is it? We'll breathe it out, but it didn't occur to me to just have my child actually do something physical. It makes so much sense.
Yes.
Because that's how they're going to connect the most quickly.
Right.
And have to use their brain to get, And
they don't think mom is having me do something really
Yes. I know. I will be that mom that my kids are like, quit social working me. Leave me alone. It's like, how are you feeling?
One of the other things that I've just started doing with him is I've taught him, and he's 10, so I've taught him emotional freedom technique.
Oh yeah.
And that
so for people who don't know, that's the tapping.
Yes. And I wasn't sure how it was going to go. And he did it the first time, and he looked at me and he goes, wow, I got rid of a lot of anger.
That's amazing.
Yes, you did. So that's one of my tools. When we think about second chakra, so emotions, the emotional freedom technique works, setting boundaries, and that's a big one as far as, so when the kids are young and they want to have a play date or they don't want to have a play date, helping them be able to set the boundaries for themselves and know, yes, you can say no when you need to.
And what I find is that a lot of parents were not taught how to set boundaries, and they're not very good at it. And so it's hard for them to teach their children. And so I always suggest that mom and dad get some assistance in that realm, right? If they're going to be able to do that with their children, because it can be, boundaries are tricky. And it's funny, I just had a whole hour-and-a-half conversation with some women I work with around boundaries today. It's really up right now. So, but it can be really challenging, whether it's with your partner, with your children.
Yes. And you know, talking about parents and their energy, what I am finding and seeing this is that energy, so most of our chakras are formed when we're young, you know, still living at home with our parents. And so your parents and, you know, your community around you is very influential on your energy. But I'm also noticing that energy can be generationally passed down.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is fascinating to me, that you know, what happened to grandma, and then how she, so if we think of her chakras, what she took in, processed, and then put out onto your mom. And then what your mom was then taking in from her mom, she processed and put out onto you. And so this whole transferring of energy through the generations is fascinating to me. And it's I don't know, it's something, you know, you can work with yourself, like parents work with themselves even before they start working with their kiddos.
Absolutely.
This doesn't keep passing on.
Absolutely. That's so funny, because that's something that's near and dear to my heart, is helping women break cycles, you know, break generational patterns and create new legacies. And, you know, and you can see it in women. They're recreating the same exact life that they did not want, that their mother had, or their behaviors are similar to what they didn't want, or, you know, they're carrying shame that's not really their shame, or they're carrying anger that's not really their anger, and having to really pull that apart and really realize, oh wait, that's not my story, and that's not my stuff, that's not my energy, that's so-and-so's, you know, that's mom's or dad's or grandma or whoever it was. And I don't know that people really realize how impactful that is and how powerful that is. And even if you think of it in terms of the cycle of abuse, you know, it's like that energy being passed, that anger, that I want to say hatred, but, you know, that hurt, you know, because beneath the anger is usually hurt and pain and sadness, but just breaking those patterns is so powerful as well, and can make huge shifts in all of the generations to come after. So just us shifting our energy patterns are going to impact our children, which are going to impact their children and their children and so on and so forth. And it's really powerful.
I see that breaking of the unhealthy patterns is part of our mission here.
Yes.
Once we know that they exist, like that's our mission, is, you know, okay, I know now I have to break that and hopefully not pass that on, or not pass on as much of it.
Yes, because we're human too, right? And breaking patterns is not easy at all. And so how do you translate that into shifting the energetic patterns? Like, what does that look like to shift the energetic pattern, or the chakra that's affected, or is it usually multiple chakras that are energetically out of balance?
Yeah. So I see first step is kind of becoming aware, right? Because how often have we lived without even knowing that there was an imbalance?
Years.
And then we notice it, right?
Yeah.
And notice it. And then we start to, maybe we're still doing the unhealthy pattern, but we're noticing when we do the unhealthy.
Yes.
And then we start to shift it. So the chakra system will bring balance in itself, or it will compensate for itself. And how I like to work, I always start at the root, because that's our foundation of our whole system. And I like to do an assessment, either for parents or for adults. I have two different ones, because for kids or for adults. I have two different ones because some of the issues aren't the same. When you're living in your parents' house, they have more control over things than when you're an adult. So I look at a few different traits, but they're pretty similar. And then I like to look at the one, when I'm working with parents, what one is maybe the reason that brought you to me, or the one that's affecting the household the most. And tune into that one. Sometimes it's a health condition. I believe.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I believe that when an imbalance goes worked on. So if it's you're out of balance for and it's not becoming balanced, then eventually the last plane that it shows up in is the physical plane.
Right. So
it's just over and over. I see this. I talk with someone in there, I'm working on a thyroid thing.
Right.
And we get to, how do you feel about expressing? Do you feel like express yourself? Do you feel heard? Is there forgiveness stuff to work on?
Are you living authentically?
Yes. And so it's, it's that logical, when you know what the chakras are, and then you see the health conditions, it just lines up so perfectly every single time. And so, there are super simple things, like very surfacey type of things, like the type of foods that you eat. Root vegetables are good for the root chakra. They grow in the ground. They have that earth energy. So there are simple things like that. Colors that you surround yourself with. But then you can get to more deeper issues that I work more one-on-one with people, like with forgiveness issues, doing actual energy healing on them with the Reiki. I've started playing with chakra tuning forks.
Oh, nice.
People while we're doing
really powerful.
Oh, yeah, really great. So, there are, using the EFT, the tapping is really helpful to people. So there are a lot of things that go in, and people say, well, how long should it take me to heal a chakra? And I'm like, it's taken you a lifetime to get here, and maybe more than one generation. So it's really we just keep moving forward. I've never met anyone that has all of their chakras balanced,
right?
Because we're human, and there's always input coming in, and there's always something coming in.
Sorry about this. The squirrel out there is talking to us. I don't know if you can hear that. It distracted me a little bit. Okay. That's amazing. And I think of this, what fascinates me is so many of us that are doing this type of healing work, there are so many different directions you can go with it, or so many different ways you can help the healing process. And I agree with you. I say the same thing I work with moms, and they are so hard on themselves if they're not shifting right away. And I try to explain to them, this is generational patterning, and it's going to take time. And I know it's frustrating. And then some women, they take the information and run with it, and they're able to shift really quickly. I think some people are really super fast at manifestation and shifting their energy. And I think some people, it just takes a little bit more time, because sometimes, quite frankly, we're not ready to let go of the construct that we've created. And we're not ready to let go of the things that we're doing, because it's scary, and it's hard, and it's different, and it's uncomfortable, and it's protective. It's served us in some way throughout our lives. So I'm curious about, can I ask you a specific question? What about a child who has asthma, that developed asthma as a very young child? I mean, I know that's the lungs. I'm guessing it's, is it the heart chakra? And so what kind of things do you recommend? Because I know for my child has asthma. I never had any issues. I know my husband had asthma as a child. I know a lot more kids today have asthma than used to. And so I'm curious about, what is that imbalance and what does that look like? And what can we as parents do to support our children in that space?
Right. So I'm starting to develop a birth order theory with the chakras.
Okay.
So asthma, is a heart chakra imbalance. I see it a lot in firstborns.
She's a firstborn. Yeah.
Firstborns are very much people pleasers, right? Because I'm a firstborn, outward for approval, right? Because when you're the first baby, everyone is, oh, yay, look at what he did, she did. And so the heart chakra imbalance will go along with asthma, sometimes rounded shoulders or poor posture. Either being that people pleaser, looking outward for acceptance, and or being very critical and judgmental of both themselves and others. And so we see that as kind of, I'm calling them like clusters of traits. And so I really think that when it is in that firstborn, they're really set up from birth being the first baby, and everyone is putting all of the
like pressure. It almost feels like a pressure thing, like a suffocation. Well, I mean, it is. You're suffocating, right, when you are having trouble breathing.
Yeah, and attention on their performance, right? And so I think that asthma goes along that whole cluster with this performance, right? They are trying to draw that energy in from outside. That's how they've been hardwired. So some of the things I talk about when we're dealing with the heart chakra imbalance is, especially to kiddos, I love you because you're my son. Right? Not I love you because you.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
It's just, I love you because you're mine. So really that love, that unconditional love, and really kind of really making it evident. On the physical level, we're doing some back bends, right? We're trying to bring some charge into the heart chakra. So we're doing some back bends, just passive over a blanket or a bolster or a pillow, just to help the physical form of the body, right? Drawing the shoulders back. We do some breath work, because a lot of times we feel like we're not able to get enough breath in. And so we'll do a breath where on the exhale, it's twice as long as the inhale.
Okay.
Because what you're feeling like is you can't get enough air in, but when you fully empty, the lungs have no choice but to fill. So making the exhale twice as long as the inhale. A lot of times they'll carry tension in the upper back and shoulders. So massage, especially with lavender, is really good for that area. So yeah, there's lots of
awesome.
Yeah, lots of different things with the asthma, but it's definitely a heart chakra imbalance. When we talk about the imbalances, if it shows up in a excessive characteristic, you want to work with opening the chakra above it so that energy can flow up. So in that case, taking a look at the throat chakra.
Oh yeah, we look at that all the time. that is something we have been working on for a while.
And so you can see the connection there, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think of it until you just pointed that out. I mean, I wouldn't have associated like, oh, this is affecting this, and that's why this is hard sometimes. And she is a performer, like literally she loves to perform, but but we've never, like, I personally have never put that pressure on her because I was very conscious from the get-go about how I wanted to talk to her. I don't good job my kids to death, and, you know, really want them to come from a intrinsically motivated place where they feel good about what they're doing. It's not about, oh, you're doing that for me because that's what I want you to do. It's like, well, how do you feel? Oh, you went to the potty. How do you feel? You look so excited, you know, instead of like, good job, and, you know, giving out M&Ms or whatever, which is fine if that works for a person. That's just not the way I choose to parent. But it didn't occur to me that the speaking up and the, which we, like, I've done role plays and stuff with her to help her talk to her friends, which has been really effective. And I can tell it can be challenging sometimes, just like with all of us. Sometimes it's hard to speak our truth and say what we want to say for fear of what someone might think or say or do. And especially when they're little and, you know, they're forming their identities. And it's like, well, I want kids to like me, but then I want to be myself. And it's so complicated.
Yes. So think of, you know, opening the one above it and supporting the chakra beneath it. So the chakra beneath the heart is the solar plexus. It's self-confidence, determination, will, that fire.
It has a lot of that, which is interesting.
Yes.
So it's kind of counterintuitive, but.
Well, no, it's not, because if she were more withdrawn and critical, that we would want to support the third chakra. If it's more excessive, then we want to open it up on the top, you know, to release the energy up.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
So have you seen a difference when you start working with kids who have, or even adults who have physical issues? Have you been able to see improvements in their health to the point where they don't need the medication they needed before, or they've been able to shift it in a way that they can support themselves through the different energetic releases and the different techniques and tools that are in your toolbox?
We're working with the asthma in our house.
Oh, you are? Okay.
It's getting better. It is getting better. I can't say that we are completely off of it. You know, the colds come through and just really.
I know. The respiratory viruses. Yeah.
But the anxious, can't catch my breath type is getting better.
Yeah.
Definitely. We have also in our house some digestive things, and that we're having a harder time working with that. But
are you living my life?
My birth order theory is everyone it's like first. My theory is first born has the heart and the throat. Second has second chakra, very sensitive, very emotional, and then also third chakra, either very competitive and or very victimy, blamey. We call it Mr. Blamey Victimy at our house. You know, so that's my second child would be second and third chakra. And then third child is very throat, very, very, I would say throat chakra imbalanced in an excessive way.
I was the third. And my third is, and that's honestly, that's one of the things I love about her is that she's only 4, but she'll just like say it. She'll say whatever it is she needs to say. Even if Ava's having trouble expressing that she's sad about something that happened with her brother, then Esme, my youngest, will express that. She's like, well, she's sad. It's like, oh, thank you. Can you tell your brother, but it's so fascinating to me. I mean, birth order stuff is fascinating, and all of the energy and just emotions and how it all ties in, because I mean, we are complicated. We're complex beings, and we're just doing the best we can and trying to get through motherhood and do what we can to help our kids. And I just really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today and to educate me on some things. And I know that the women who are watching this right now are going to take away some really important information. But before we go, I was wondering if you will share with everyone where they can find you. And if you have any offering that you have going on, if you can talk a little bit about that.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So the best place to find me is on my website, and it's my name. It's joyfischera.com. And what I have is...
Can you spell your last name?
Sure. It's Joy, F as in Frank, ICHIERA.com. And then on there, on the homepage, so someone could get a assessment for themselves. And so it's over 100 traits, and you kind of go through what you've been experiencing in the last 6 months, and it will help you see where in your life, the adult life, you have some imbalances right now.
It's a chakra assessment?
Yes. Okay. Yep. And then I also have just, I have an e-guide. It's, I think, 78 pages for parents, and it's called Children's Chakras and the Parent's Guide to Understanding and Balancing Your Child's Energy. So it has the child assessment in there. It goes chakra by chakra as far as what it looks like when they're out of balance, how it physically manifests, how it may have gotten that way, gives you tips on how to balance each chakra, and that's for free also. Just look on the page and it says Children and Chakras, and you'll click on that and it will be there. So yeah, I just get that out to everyone and be as helpful as possible.
So if they sign up in the little box to sign up, they'll get both of those in their inbox, or do they sign up separately for them?
Sign up separately for them. There's one adult one that's on the main page, and then you have to click on the Children and Chakras on the... Yeah.
I don't think I have the children's one. I'm going to have to head over there after this.
Yes. So I released that. So yeah.
Awesome. Those are amazing gifts. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And again, I'm Dawn Gibson with DawnKGibson.com, and head over to my website to pick up 10 ways to raise 10 kick-ass ways. I just changed the name. Or kick-ass ways to raise self-confident and connected kids. And I will see you next time. Hi, my name is Dawn Gibson with DawnKGibson.com, and I wanted to let you know about an amazing opportunity that you have coming up May 1st through 4th at Hudson Valley in New York. On beautiful land in the spa, there is going to be a women's retreat. It's a mindful mosaic women's retreat where you get to come recreate yourself. So if you're in a transition of some kind, whether it's dealing with the grief and loss of some sort, whether it's starting a new job, moving to a new city, or maybe your kids are older now and they don't need you quite as much, and you're wondering, well, what do I do now? What's my purpose? What's my passion? This is the retreat for you. So I want you to seriously consider joining us. It's a very small community of women. It's going to be 12 to 15 women. And it's a chakra-inspired retreat, so you're going to get spiritually connected, you're going to get unstuck, you're going to go in your body, you're going to move your body, you're going to go out in nature. It's going to be very spacious, very amazing. I am so honored to be a guest speaker there, and I am going to use my genius, my zone of genius, my skill set to get you into your body, to get you unstuck, figure out what's keeping you stuck, and to move it out of your body. I'm also going to incorporate my Koya practice into the presentation, so you get to experience Koya and how powerful it is. It's such a beautiful, beautiful way of releasing and of connecting with yourself, with your highest self, your truest self. So please, please, please go to DawnKGibson.com/retreats and read more about it. You'll find a link in there that'll take you directly to the retreat page. And then make sure you get signed up quickly, because there are only 12 to 15 spots. We keep it small. It's going to be intimate. There's going to be a chef there feeding you really good food. So please take the time to check this out, and I hope to see you there. Thank you so much.